We are standing behind a monitoring well. I am with water resources scientist Christina Buck. And Christina, what is being monitored here?
Yeah, here we measure groundwater levels. So this is a groundwater level monitoring well that was drilled for the express purpose of measuring groundwater conditions at this location. As part of our network, we have other wells that are ag wells that we also use, or domestic wells. But this one's called a multi-completion well. So it actually has three different pipes that go down and are screened at different depths, so we can get information about the shallower part of the aquifer, which may or may not be the same as what's going on at deeper zones in the aquifer.
And when you say aquifer, we are talking groundwater. So that is the water far below us. Define groundwater.
Yeah, that's right. So groundwater is just the water that's filling up the space between the sand and clay and gravel particles that make up the ground beneath our feet. So if you were to drill or dig a hole even, you would eventually see that hole fill up with water, and that's groundwater. And in some places it's really shallow, and other places it's deep.
We are coming out of a historical drought. How have groundwater levels been impacted by the drought?
Yeah, we've seen in some areas pretty large declines, but I think the first thing about groundwater is it really varies depending on where you are. In some places, typically in the surface water irrigated areas, groundwater can be really shallow and doesn't change a lot from year to year, and so we've seen pretty stable levels in those areas. In other areas that are solely dependent on groundwater for ag and irrigation purposes, we've seen bigger declines. In Butte County, it's mostly our biggest hole is kind of south of Chico, north and south of Chico, but in the Durham area on the order of 20 to 25 feet over the last 20 years of declines. And in other places it's been more.
Christina, how fast or how slow is groundwater replenished?
Yeah, we can see in a wet year like this definitely a bump. We've seen a couple feet each year over the last several years of decline, at least in Butte County. And so we're hoping to see several feet of increase this year, but it certainly won't make up, this nice wet year won't make up for several years of historically dry conditions. So it really depends there on how well things will recharge.
So it's kind of like money in the bank, the groundwater. I've heard it explained as money in the bank, but you don't want to take all that money out and not replenish it. So hopefully
Right.
This year the groundwater levels are being replenished. On that note, do you have any numbers on water levels here?
So this well, I believe, is about 50 feet to groundwater just as of a couple weeks ago. They did the March, kind of the spring groundwater level measurement is when we try to get a sense of how do things look at the beginning of the year after most of the recharge, kind of natural recharge has occurred.
Okay, so is that good or bad?
So I believe this is about 4 feet higher than it was last year. So same thing, it's been going down, on the order of 2 to 4 feet in these dry years, and so to see an increase is certainly a good thing, but it's not, again, making up for the cumulative effects of multiple dry years.
And let's talk big picture. Christina, how much of our water comes from groundwater?
Yeah, about 30% of the water supplies in the Sacramento Valley are served by groundwater, and that's true in Butte County as well.